Yo, what is going on, guys? We are back today for another video. Something a little bit different today, with Alliance War being down. I've been trying to think what videos do I want to make? And I've been doing some gameplay in Abyss and Labyrinth. That's been fun, but I want to mix up a little bit today and just have a bit more of a discussion type video because we're halfway through 2020 already. And every year I like to make a video saying like the top 10 champions that came out this year. So I'm gonna do that at the end of the year, like I've been doing for the last 2 years. But halfway through the year, might as well do like a halfway point review of the top 10 champs released so far. So we're a little bit over halfway, but that's okay. So above me, up here, are the champions. Trucos made a little graphic. So here's all the 2020 champions released so far, and then the color behind them obviously correlates to their class. Only one tech champion and only one science champion so far. Ton of mystics, a couple skills, couple cosmic, couple mutants. Yeah, so we're gonna just jump in, and again, this is gonna be all of my opinion on what I think so far has been the best champions, and a lot of that has to do with my own personal experience. I don't have all the champions up here, so it's hard to say exactly where I put them, whereas sometimes I do have at an extremely high level, so I have a lot more of experience with and know about them a bit more. So yeah, just a couple of disclaimers, but let's jump into it. So coming in at the number 10 spot, we actually have a tie between two skill champions, and that's Black Widow, Deadly Origin, and Squirrel Girl. So it's a tie because, if I had to pick one which I think is better, I would say Squirrel Girl. Based off my testing, when I had them both for the CCP, I really enjoyed Squirrel Girl, and I thought she was pretty good. Whereas Black Widow Deadly Origin was probably the champion I enjoyed the least for the CCP in a long time. Just wasn't really a fan of her. But I've heard, but the thing is, I've heard so many good things about Black Widow from other people, and I've only heard bad things about Squirrel Girl from other people. So it's really tough for me to say because I don't have either of these characters. So let me know in the comments down below which one these two champions do you guys think is better. I'll let you guys break the tie here for whichever one you think really deserves that number 10 spot. But for me, it's a tie because I guess I don't have enough experience with these two characters to really be able to judge. Squirrel Girl, she has some really cool bleed, and I really enjoyed her in the CCP. The instant bleeds that you could get with her was pretty impressive from a rank 3. I think the real thing with her is, though, you needed to have her as high sig. In the CCP, we had her as a sig 200 rank 3, and it's really all about that signature level 200. Then you're getting the really crazy instant bleeds, and it's going to be some pretty nutty damage. And Black Widow, like I said, I've heard some really good things from alliance mates. This one guy in my alliance is like obsessed with her, TJ. I don't know. So yeah, these two are tied for that number 10 spot. Now coming in at the number 9 spot, we have another champion that I do not own, and that is Tigra. So we have had 5 Mystic champions already this year, so it's pretty crazy. And Tigra, she hasn't been the worst. I think so far Sasquatch has been the worst Mystic champion this year. And it's not saying that's not to say like he's bad. It's just I think these other Mystic champions have been a lot better. And Tigra, she definitely could be higher on this list, but right now I feel like she's kind of in a scenario where Quake and Ghost were when they both came out, meaning she relies on a very specific play style, and if you can master that specific play style, you can really take her to just a whole nother level. And there's a lot I think that you can do with Tigra, but again, it requires a mastery over the champion. So I think one day, when we look back on the champions that came out in 2020, maybe Tigra will be at the top of that list once, maybe she has a real hardcore following and like people that have just mastered her style, and you just see like crazy stuff with her. I hope to see something like that one day, but right now she comes in at the number 9 spot. She's cool, she got stuff she can do, but I think the champions above her just offer more and don't require nearly as difficult of a play style to really achieve to be really good. So yeah, I like Tigra. Interested to see more from her. Now, coming in at the number 8 spot, we have yet again another female champion that I do not have, and that's Storm Pyramid X. So when Storm came out, I thought she was kind of like a better version of the other Storm. Not like too crazy. I don't think she's like the top in the mutant class or anything, but she's actually pretty good. She has some really great damage output. Her glancing ability is actually extremely nice, so that when you're playing her, if you just slip up and you get attacked, there's a very good chance that the opponent is going to glance, and so you're not going to take that much damage. That's actually a really great ability. She's so good for fighting champions that can shrug off stuns, because then she makes it a passive stun, which is just really cool. She's got phenomenal damage output, and I've seen some Alliance mates actually bring her into Alliance War to face a really difficult node containing Hitmonkey, who my Hitmonkey's gotten the most kills out of all my defenders this season, and like Storm just rinses Hitmonkey, and she's very impressive. Seeing her in Alliance War, seeing what she do, it was actually Enzo who brought her, and it really made me want Storm. I think the community's really been sleeping on her as a character. She's definitely not the top of the mutant class, but I think she's pretty good. I think she's pretty slept on. So yeah, that's why I'm gonna put her at the number 8 spot so far this year. I want her. All 4 of the last champions are female that I just talked about, and I want all of them. I've been trying to open up some features to get some of them, but just haven't been lucky enough yet. So yeah. That is the number 8 spot. Now moving to the number 7 spot, finally someone that I actually do have, and that is Mojo. So I think I prematurely rated Mojo a little bit too highly in my last tier list, and I don't think he's as good as I thought when I made that last tier list, and I am working on a new tier list. And it will definitely reflect that. I had him higher than Black Widow Clairvoyant before, and that's not. I don't think he's better than Clairvoyant anymore. So my opinion's definitely been changed on that. When Mojo first came out and I had him for the Content Creator Program, I used him as a rank 3 champion. And again, Sig 200. That's the really big thing, is he needs super high Sig, and then he gets a really big Fury, and he hits pretty hard. But when I had him as rank 2 in CCP, he just rinsed the 6.2 champion. And it was extremely impressive for a rank 3, but as a 565, he's really good, but it just didn't translate the way that I would imagine that it would. And I feel like for a while there, people were hyping up Mojo a little bit too much. He's a really good champion, but he's not that good. He is good. He's got some cool stuff, but he's not that level of Mystic Champion like Doctor Doom, like Black Widow Clairvoyant are. But he is cool. He's an extremely good defender, man. This guy was the king of the flow. You might as well call him Flojo, because he was a crazy war boss. Very fun to fight as well with magic, with flow. But yeah, he takes the number 7 spot on this list, and he's a really good Mystic Champion, very good addition to the mystical class. Alright, and coming in at the number 6 spot, we have another Mystic Champion with Longshot. So Mojo and Longshot came out together, and man, when Mojo and Longshot, specifically Longshot, when he first came out, he was the first one to come out, so we had him for the CCP testing first. Dude, I thought this guy was going to be the best Mystic Champion in the game. From testing a rank 3 5-star, and seeing the kind of damage output that he was able to get, it's just nuts. And I feel like Longshot's not talked about that much, as much as he maybe should be, but his damage output still is insane. I have him at rank 4. I'm going to take him to rank 5 eventually, because the damage output that you can get from this guy, wow, it's amazing. But, I think the thing that holds him back is just, that's the main thing he's got, is damage. He doesn't have much utility outside of that. When you think the Mystic class, the main characteristics you think of are buff control and power control. And a lot of the best Mystic Champions in the game excel at these abilities. Doctor Doom, insane power control and buff control. Magic, insane power control, alright buff control. Symbiote Supreme, it's got some power control, insane buff control. Same for Sorcerer Supreme, all these characters, and Black Widow Clairvoyant as well. But Longshot's got no power control capability, which I don't like. But his damage output's really what puts him at number 6 on the list. I feel like he's just lacking in utility a bit, but his damage output is pretty crazy. And I think he is better than Mojo overall. But I don't think he's the best Mystic that we've gotten so far this year. But definitely a great addition. I'd love to see like this guy in Abyss. Maybe when we get the next Content Creator Program beta, I could get you guys some Abyss gameplay with this dude, because I feel like he could be a pretty good. I feel like he could honestly just be like an Abyss option, like for an entire path, like just long shot himself. I feel like he's that good. He has that good of damage potential. Maybe I'll have to test that. But yeah, long shot, he lands at number 6 on our list here. Now, getting into the top 5 champions released this year so far. At number 5, we have Red Guardian. So, Red Guardian is an insane champion. He's got an extremely niche utility in that he cannot gain buffs. And, when you first hear that, it's like, wait, he can't gain buffs? Do you mean debuffs? They're like, no, it's buffs. And you're like, well, isn't that a bad thing? But it's actually really good for certain nodes, like Spite, where the opponent gains power based on your buffs. You don't have buffs, you don't have to worry. And because he doesn't get buffs, he can't be nullified. So, things like, what's that node? Regen, nullify something, and then they gain power. I can't think of the node. Pilfer regen, that's what it is. Yeah, so he's immune to Pilfer regen. Like, there's so many nodes that Guardian is just immune to because of this niche utility. And it's really cool. It's really cool. A new node in Alliance 4 Power Snack. It's great. The only downside really to Red Guardian is his damage output. Now, in ideal conditions, if you get a little lucky, his damage output is solid. You can hit some really, really big L2s, which is great. But the problem is a way to get off a lot more damage with the trauma debuff, and this has an extremely low duration. Even at signature level 200, the duration on it is very low. It's very difficult to keep up more than one. It's difficult to just keep up one. Now, the other huge downside is his damage is reliant on crits. So right off the bat, it's about getting lucky. And his critical rate is only 21%, 22%, let's call it. Not that high, Nick Fury has like over 30%, I'm pretty sure. So this is definitely like not that good of critical rating. And yeah, the problem is he relies on that for big damage. And in Alliance War, I actually timed out 5-minute timers to a Dr. Doom because of his critical resistance. I didn't crit a single time in the fight, and I timed out. I was playing pretty well. Like, to time out to Dr. Doom in 5 minutes is pretty difficult in of its open war. I was also boosted, but I could have played the fight a little bit differently. But still, just the fact that his damage output is like that, I'm not a fan of it, really not a fan. But his utility alone does make up for it and lands him firmly in the top 5 champions so far of this year. Now, coming in at number 4, this might be a little controversial, and technically, this character came out. He's been in the game for a long time, but he was never playable, and he got a whole new set of abilities, and he was released this year. So technically, he is a 2020 champion. Same with Platinum Pool up there, but there's leaked abilities in Platinum Pool, and I guess his abilities were in the game, but I have no experience with Platinum Pool, so I'm not going to count him on this list. But coming at the number 4 spot, we have Wolverine Weapon X, and I have this guy at rank 3, and I think he's extremely good. First of all, he's got some really good utility, which I have a whole video on Weapon X coming soon, gameplay in Act 6, and it's some really cool stuff, so you guys are not going to want to miss that. But first of all, he's a great defender, so that's always, he's got that going for him. Second of all, he's got some pretty good regen if you play him correctly, and pretty good damage output if you play him correctly. And the really cool thing is, if you can play his really weird and sketchy playstyle perfectly, you can get an immense amount of damage output, which is with his heavy attacks. Refresh all bleed effects on the opponent, and this just keeps going up. I actually soloed the Abyss Invisible Woman with Weapon X because I just kept those bleed. I had like 100 stacks of bleed, and it was just ridiculous damage that you could keep up. Now, even playing in a non-ridiculous way, trying to keep those bleeds, he has really great damage output. It's just a bit of a sketchy play style, but it's really cool. I think Weapon X is just like by far the best trophy champion we've ever got, and I'm a really big fan of him. I feel like he's fairly well-balanced champion on offense. Like he's not overpowered, but if you can play his style correctly, you can get off some pretty good damage output, and you can really get rewarded for it. And then on defense, he's just pretty ridiculous. I feel like he's not balanced at all on defense. I feel like he's a little bit too much on defense. But that's why I'm glad I got him, and I get to place him on defense sometimes. I don't always place him. But yeah, I think he lands in the number 4 spot. And if you don't agree with this one, that's cool. I might be a little bit biased, but if you don't agree, or even if you do agree, you might want to check out the video I have coming on him. See some gameplay. Maybe I can change your mind. Now, coming in, we get to the top 3. Here's where it gets competitive. So, coming in at the number 3 spots, I have Sorcerer Supreme. So, I think she's the best Mystic champion released so far this year, and I just think she's really good. So, recently I made a couple videos on her, and what really amazed me was how, I don't want to say easy, but with the right mastery of the fight, how easy it was to solo the 6.2 champion boss with her. It wasn't that difficult because of all the abilities that she has. Some of the coolest and best utility in the game with her regeneration on block. Basically, let me find the ability so I can rhyme off exactly how it works here. So, Runes of Regador passively regenerate, so it's not even a buff. Sorcerer Supreme for a certain amount of health over 12 seconds. So it's just a regen, right? Which is nice, just a little bit of a regen. But Sorcerer Supreme regenerates 75% of the damage she takes from blocked hits while this regen is active. This is just ridiculous. Like, you can heal so much block damage from this. And you pair this with the Recovery Mastery, which I believe is 15%. Let me actually check. Why not? I don't know if it's just an additive 15%. But if it is, that would be 90%, which I'm not sure if it's like that, if it's 15% of 75% or something like that. But this ability still is just ridiculous, man. Being able to heal that much block damage, it's so good. She also has a great nullify. She has increased ability accuracy, which is pretty nice. Her damage output is actually really good. The armor breaks that you can apply with her are minus 2100 armor rating. That's a huge armor break, and you can stack up a ton of these. She also has a slow ability, which slow abilities these days are just so good. One of the very few Mystic champions that has access to the slow. And yeah, it's very easy to control her because you can switch your blessings to your heavy attack. You can actually get insanely hard hitting special 3s as well if you store up runes, and she's just so customizable to play. Just a really, really big fan of Sorcerer Supreme. If only she had some utilities, or not some utilities, some immunities, I think she could be the best Mystic in the game. Unfortunately, she doesn't have any immunities, so that holds her back a bit. But yeah, definitely think she deserves a top 3 spot so far of champions released this year. And again, if you don't agree with me on this one, again, you can call it some bias because I have her ranked up as a 6-star. But you can also watch some of my videos on her. Maybe that'll change your mind. Specifically, the 6.2 champion boss with no retreat. Now, that video is so cool because the Kabam is removing the no retreat from that fight because it is just so ridiculous. And I was able to solo it with Sorcerer Supreme. So it really just is a testament to how good she is. And then coming in at the number 2 spot is Hitmonkey. So again, it calls for a little bit of bias because I have him as a 6-star rank 3, but I think Hitmonkey is just really, really good, man. He is very similar to Corvus. I don't think Hitmonkey is better than Corvus per se. I feel like Corvus has a bit more utility, but damage-wise, they're very close. And what I love about Hitmonkey is, you don't have to ramp him up. There's no ramp up involved with playing him, whereas Corvus, you gotta get your charges. There's also no cap to Hitmonkey. Like he doesn't run out of charges, then you can't crit for 20 seconds or whatever. You can just infinitely always crit. Guaranteed crits. Like that's what Red Guardian needs, man. Guaranteed crits on his L2s somehow. Hitmonkey's got it. He's got it in spades, man. 3-hit combos, you could crit 100% of the time. 3-hit combo into a special 2, guaranteed crits. Like the amount of guaranteed crits with this guy is insane. He also got bleeds and critical bleeds, which you can control, unlike champions like Domino, where you rely on RNG. And he also has some cool utility with countering evasion. It's not the best evade counter in the game, but it's a pretty good one, and just a nice little bit of utility added on top of his kit. Plus, he can also shrug off debuffs, which is really nice. And so he can shrug off suicides. He's extremely suicide friendly, and also has a little bit of evade counter of his own. So, you know, if your opponent evades you, you're going to get Assassin's Cunning, preventing them from evading again, and then gives you a chance to evade as well if that happens. So nice little bit of a safety net, and yeah, I think Hitmonkey is just really great. I really love his guaranteed crits and just the no limit to his damage output, no stops on it. You know, that's what I really rate. And then coming in at the #1 spot so far of champions released this year, we have Guardian, the coolest looking character in this game. If this was a list of the top 10 coolest looking characters in the game, he would still be #1. Just such a cool looking character. Coolest suit, the maple leaf, the color scheme. Oh, it's great. But yeah, I think Guardian is the best champion released so far this year. He just has so much going for him. You know, he really doesn't. The only real downside that he has is, you know, he relies on his armor up buff to get a lot of his advantages. So if you can take away his armor up buff, then that kind of sucks, like permanently throughout a fight. But really, his only weakness is shock immune opponents, because that's the way you get off your damage output with him. Is, you know, he doesn't crit, he deals damage through shocks. So if the opponent's shock immune, they're just immune to like 80% of his real damage output, and that's just, yeah. But like, aside from those matchups, he is just so good. He has so much energy. He has the most energy resistance in the entire game, which essentially gives him extremely resistant to debuffs like Incinerate. He can actually heal from them with willpower, shock, cold snap. He's essentially immune to stuff like Limbo. Is very, very little damage he takes from it. I've tested it. He has an amazing synergy just for the team that gives 1250 block proficiency as a 6-star, 1000 as a 5-star. That's such a good team synergy. And it does not stack with duplicate synergies. Okay, I was gonna say imagine stacking like a bunch of Guardians together, but that doesn't work. But still, that's a ton of block proficiency, man. So that like silently buffs characters like Hitmonkey, Obsidian, Mcoc, which is like really low base block proficiencies, which I really like. So it's just gonna be a good team synergy to have with you. But this guy just is a utility machine. So many immunities, not immunities, but resistances. You might as well call them immunities, pseudo immunities, if you will. He's got the armor up buff to counter stuff like Havoc. He doesn't crit, so he's good for flow. And just the fact that he doesn't crit is good against like Mr. Sinister. Just so much utility in not being able to crit, but still getting that damage output through another way. I love it, man. I love Guardian so much that I'm saving all my 6-star shards for when he comes as a featured 6-star champion in that crystal pool. Just really, really great Guardian. I think he's the #1 champion released so far this year. He just has so much going for him. But yeah, guys, that's my opinion. You know, again, my opinion, there definitely could be some bias here, and especially the top champs. I have all of the top 5 characters except for Guardian, and I'm Canadian, so I'm like a huge fanboy of them. So yeah, if you want to call this list biased, that's cool. But these are just my opinions. But I am interested to hear your guys' opinions, and if you disagree, that's cool. But let's just keep it civil. You know, just tell me why. You know, be nice about it, and maybe give me some facts, some evidence, support for your disagreements. Get a little conversation in the comments. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. Drop a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you'd like to see more content. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out.